Again!
Well, they're kind of big targets.
It's a bantha! Hi, welcome back to Panda Reacts. I'm Sandra and this is Ken.
Hi.
And Ham. And wow, okay, so first of all, I'm really sorry about my hair. I slept on it funny. I can't fix it.
It's broken.
Oh, thank God I'm getting it cut on this weekend. It'll be back to normal. It's so long, it's disgusting. Anyway, getting back to the actual point. So today we're watching Boba Fett Season 1, Episode 2. And last week, it was an interesting... We didn't watch it together, for one thing. We watched it separately. So you were on the reaction for the last one, which may be why we have no comments. No one wanted to comment.
We're missing ham. That was
there was no ham.
I'm sure there was no ham, and that kind of wrecked everything.
Yeah, sorry. There was no ham, but there was Grogu. Yeah, I had Grogu there, and he doesn't make an appearance for any other show except Star Wars, so he is a special guest star who only appears at those times. Ham just plays for whatever. Weed. So, yeah, last week's episode was really interesting. I liked it. I liked seeing the backstory a lot. I kind of actually preferred that story, but then there's the other like I don't hate the other story. I thought it was slow moving only because they had the other story to tell. I always find the first episode is usually a little bit slow moving of any series.
It has a little exposition dump going on, and you know, this one, at least it doesn't descend into like long narrative monologues or anything like that, because of course Boba Fett doesn't have much to say.
He doesn't talk a lot in this one either.
It's good, so it was really more just demonstrate, and show is always better than tell anyway.
Well, I mean, he did talk a lot. Like, there wasn't anyone else who spoke English in the planet until we got back to the present, per se. And he's in that Bacta tank, like, full time.
Yeah, I think he's still pretty, like, permanently injured.
Yes.
As a result of his time in the Sarlacc tummy. And,
which didn't seem that long. I mean, he woke up, and then he was like, I'm burning my way out of here. And then he came out like Dawn of the Dead, or whatever the heck it... Hand springs out of the grave. And then he just kept getting... kicked when he was already down. Jawas came and in one violent move hit him in the head with something. Yeah. And like I was saying to my friend Rich just in a Zoom an hour or so ago, we were discussing this, and I was just like, how is Boba Fett still alive? Because the man was out in the blazing hot dual sun, no hat, no sunscreen. I don't know if he had any water.
Yep.
For what seemed like weeks.
Well, he is like a super clone, so, you know.
Oh, right. No. Boba Fett is an unaltered clone.
Yeah.
It's not a super clone. He wasn't trained. He wasn't like, he's unaltered. He was the one that Django refused to, he wanted one that was just his.
That's right. That's like, but
so he wasn't altered.
Django Fett. Raw.
Okay, so whatever. We're just going to pretend
He's not
Django Boba Fett has some kind of magical sun power.
Now, when you clone things, a lot of times you get some genetic, degradation and, poorer performance further on you go. So, him being closest to the original source makes him the super clone.
Super clone. Oh, that's what you meant. Okay. Alrighty. Well, we have no comments to talk about, so please put comments in next time, even if it's stuff that's opposite to what we're saying.
Yeah, even if you're going to say that Sandra's wrong.
I know, and I didn't even get to put that episode out. Yeah. So, anyway, let's get right to episode 2 and stop looking at my horrendous hair.
Phoenix brought something back.
Yeah, that guy that assassin dude.
The assassin person.
Yeah. That's rude.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps he fears the Rancor.
They got a Rancor?
Rancor's dead.
They got another Rancor?
No, that's not possible. The Rancor was killed. Do they not know this?
Yeah.
Shall we visit the mayor?
Yeah, the mayor has been kind of a jerk. He didn't send a gift.
Mm-hmm. He sent assassins.
He gave me a gift, and they were like, yeah, we'll give you the gift of getting to leave your face still attached.
I am Boba Fett. I'm here to see the mayor. Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
Do you have an appointment? I found one of his stray pets. This area here is restricted.
What, you got the Wizard of Oz behind there? What is happening?
You would be so kind as to apologies for the intrusion.
There's that. Yeah, they're back at that band. Oh, you're back. Oh, there she is, Jennifer Beals. Flash dance, wanna feel it.
The twins have laid claim to their late cousin's bequest.
The twins.
The twins are preoccupied with the debauchery of Hatta to bother with any ambitions on Tatooine.
What are they coming on? Is this a parade bringing these people in?
Bringing the litter of the two huts?
Prince Ali. Dude! No way. Why didn't they come when Jabba died? Why'd they wait for Bib Fortuna to die?
They're like one.
Are they joined together?
Conjoined twins.
Conjoined twins.
Oh no.
Oh my, what is this?
Some big
Oh my god, it's a Wookiee!
It's Chewbacca's
that is not Chewbacca.
evil twin.
That is crazy. That is the coolest thing.
That's why.
Conjoined twin Jabbas? No, they're not conjoined.
They just look that way.
They're separate. What are they digging up? Is that a frog? Hey, that's like one of those frogs that was sitting by Jabba's palace and then burnt. Whoa!
Oh no!
Why, Banthas, why? What is that, an Imperial train? I thought that was a sandworm.
Get down behind the bantha. That is random drive-by on these people in the middle of nowhere. Like, how do they know they were there? Like,
they were just on their way, and then they were like, hey, there's some people we can shoot. Yeah, it's the pirates. They're like a biker gang. You see the back of their outfits? They've got like... Yeah, we did. Guess what? Today is not your lucky day. It's just wood. It doesn't have a sweet tip on it.
Yeah, he's like getting them with the...
Oh, yes!
with the training stick.
Nut sacks. Oh, what's he got? Oh, yes! He took all of them. No, 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 no!
No! Stop! Oh, these are mine! These are mine! Stop!
Practicing. Woo!
You gotta figure out how to jump onto the train.
Yeah, oh! Oh! That's poor Bantha. What is it, just there to get shot? Because I swear, I don't think it's the pirates. Those guys were just randoms. Oh, again!
No. Well, they're kind of big targets.
The Bantha! Oh, wow.
Nice shot.
Dang, dude. Get on, baby. Even though mine is kind of like gonna explode here. Whoa, whoa, look at this! Woo!
Well, I guess that's kind of semi.
That helps. Oh, this is his.
This is his ninja warrior trainer.
Oh, there he is! He just popped out of the hatch! Oh, I love it! Oh! Oh, no, no, no! Oh! Oh! Like, making it explode.
Droid's bailing out.
That droid just failed!
Spice from the slave lines of Kessler.
What does spice look like?
Like that?
Like that. This is not looking good for you. What is it? Thank you.
Oh! Oh wait, he took that off the tree. Is that what they're gonna make into his stick? The special piece of
like
tree?
The last temptation of Boba Fett?
I don't know. It's your stick now. Alright, that was episode 2.
Yes, we definitely have the two plot lines going, the present and the past.
Yes, they're both equally interesting. I mean, we started more in the present this time. So we had the assassin returned and said it was the mayor. They tricked him with the Rancor that's not alive anymore.
Yep.
We all know that Luke killed the Rancor, so there isn't one. Unless somehow you can go wrangle yourself a new Rancor, which I don't think is that easy to do.
No, you got to raise them from a pet, from a tiny, like...
Probably, from a tiny
Rancor.
seed Rancor. Yeah, so...
The mayor denied being involved.
The mayor has a lot of interesting people around him that are like, do you have an appointment?
I think he just gets shot. How's that?
And that Twi'lek dude again going, you know, he's real busy right now. So the mayor said, well, you're kind of looking in the wrong place. Why don't you go look at that club?
Yep.
So they went back to Jennifer Beals' dance club.
Yep.
And
flash dance.
She flash danced. And freaking Hut twins showed up.
Yeah. I thought they were conjoined twin.
They did look that way, but the tail of one of them was behind the other. That's when I saw it. When they turned him around, I was like, oh, there's the other tail.
One can see the expectation for a litter around here when you're like a gigantic space slug.
Yeah, they keep asking Boba Fett, I didn't see your litter pull up.
I've got
Dude
legs.
does not need a litter,
Right,
okay?
actually,
He's kind of stated this before, and he doesn't believe that he needs a litter. And then on top of that, we got, you know, these Hut twins, like, we rule this place. Where have you been for 5 years?
Ours.
Like, because this is after Mandalorian, and Mandalorian's 5 years ahead after Return of the Jedi. So Jabba's been dead for 5 years. Where, twins, have you been?
They've been partying.
Because Bib Fortuna got, like, himself all situated for 5 whole years there.
Yeah.
And then you show up, and he's like, I'm in charge of this place. So the Hutts did leave.
Yeah.
But they'll be back.
He'll still be back.
Yeah.
In one way or another.
They showed him their, like, little claim to fame on the screen.
Yeah.
This is what this says. This whole place belongs to us.
See this piece of paper that we wrote that says we own this thing? Yeah, here it is.
I was kind of hoping that would be Zero that showed up. In the Clone Wars, this hilarious Hutt named Zero who talks and acts just like Eric Cartman from South Park. And he is the most hilarious Hutt. And he's like purple. And he is so funny.
Gentlemen, I see no need for resentment in light of this joyous occasion of my freedom.
I think Zero's dead in the Clone Wars. I'm pretty sure they killed him off, which is unfortunate because he was one of my favorites. He's just so whiny and weird. So, I guess he won't be joining us, but yeah, there are more Hutts in that world. Mm-hmm. Then there was a random Wookiee in their crew.
Yep.
I thought it was odd.
It was obviously, a Sith Wookiee because it's all black.
A Sith Wookiee. So then after they left and there was this kind of like, then he goes back to his Bantha, or his Bacta tank and is all in Dreamland again. And we're back where he's basically helped them take down this. Well, one, he gets those pirate guys. Those were not on the train.
Yeah.
They were separate hooligans, biker gang, cruising Tatooine, upsetting people, taking their money, and just being bullies. So Boba Fett just like, did he take the bike there? No, he didn't, because he got bikes there. Mm. He totally walked there and was like, pow, pow, pow.
And then nicked all their bikes.
Yep, then took all their bikes and then taught the Tuscan Raiders how to ride them, which was hilarious. And then they took on the train. And the train had these like fish-looking dudes in it who were basically running spice and weapons. Basically, they were running like some pretty sketchy stuff. But then there was the overall arching theme with the Sand People, which is the fact that they are the ancestral people.
Indigenous folks.
The indigenous peoples of Tatooine. And so they own the Dune Sea area, legit belongs to them. So you should have to pay them something to go through it, which is what we saw in The Mandalorian when that dumb guy had to give up the binoculars to the Tuscans because they needed something barter to go past, which, was more explained by this episode with Boba Fett. Mm-hmm. So there was a couple of things. Then they were all like, yeah, you're one of us, man. So they took him to the hut and put a psychedelic lizard in his nose, and he tripped out. Went to the Tree of Life and got a branch.
Yeah, to make his gaffy stick out.
Yeah. And then he got to do it himself. So there was a very overarching indigenous vibe to this episode, of respecting the culture of the people who were there first, because, of course, those fish people, he said, this is not your land. You can't just come and roughshod through here and kill people and whatnot. So that was that theme. And then making your stick and the whole trip to the tree.
Getting the outfit.
It's all very traditional kind of homage to the Tuscan Raiders, but also a lot of it really felt like, so Tamura Morrison plays Boba Fett, and as I've said before, he's an indigenous person of, I think it's New Zealand. And
clearly.
Yes, and they added the stick in there that it does represent him. That idea I believe came from him, if I remember from the behind the scenes. He is really good with one of those sticks, so they added that in as something, cultural.
Pretty cool.
So to me, the dance at the end. Mm-hmm. That just screamed him as an act. That seemed that's almost like they were paying tribute to him.
Yeah, very haka and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and he did the dance for them, which is, I think, a really big honor. He did that dance for them, so I think that I'm not sure how much of that choreographed dance at the very end was put together by him to kind of mix his culture in there. But I think that they really have let this run with his traditional roots, which I think are really cool. Like to pay respects to someone's background like that, and to really make it clear in this episode that the Tuscans are not some like heartless crazy people from the Star Wars, but they have a background. They don't have a lot of machinery. They have a very traditional life. So they are misunderstood in a lot of ways. So that was, to me, the overarching theme of today's episode.
Right.
Boba Fett. There were also, the moment that was really interesting was that a creature emerged from the sand again. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those, like, hopping, I swear it was the sand frog. If you watch the beginning of Return of the Jedi, there's this giant, like, frog sitting outside Jabba's palace, and it randomly burps at the beginning of I think it's just after C-3PO and R2 get there, and then pulls away from the palace in this, like, out palace shot, and then there's this little frog, and he's like, burr, after he eats something. And I was like, what the heck's that there for? But that's interesting because they kind of paid tribute to him in this episode, because I'm pretty sure that was a sand frog thing that just hopped across the grass, or hopped across the sand like that. Mm-hmm. And we learned that Tatooine used to have water on it. Yep. Used to have oceans and stuff.
And the seas dried up, and then they adapted to live in the desert.
I think that's what he saw, too. Like, was Boba Fett having memory? He was having memories from his childhood. Was the water Camino? Because he lived, like, here's the weird part about Boba Fett is he grew up on a completely watery planet. No land. Now he's on a completely sand planet. No water. Did you just trip out from that? Wow. Just put that out there. So yeah, that robot was hilarious. The conductor was like a little spider.
The train engineer there who just bailed out at the end.
Yeah, he just jumps out the window. Yeah, so that was really cool. Another favorite part was when the Tuscan Raiders popped his head out of the hole in the train. Yep. He took out all those guys, and then it was like, boop! Head popping up.
Yeah, it was some interesting, the way that a lot of the sort of motion of the Tuscan Raiders was choreographed, and the way that it was almost just a little bit stop motiony. Like, it was very interesting the way that they moved. Mm. It was just like it was a little edge of Harryhausen there, but neat looking, for that, because it was a little bit distinctive.
We also had Boba Fett learning the hand signals. I don't think did Mandalorian, was he able to use some of the language?
Yeah, sure.
Because it's very grunty. Yeah. So I think you start with the hand signals and then work your way to possible knowing how it's pronounced, because it seems really difficult to be able to do.
It does seem to be like...
Anyway, before we went... So I'm on Facebook, and there's been some discussion about how a lot of people didn't like the show. And I'm not sure why. I don't know what their problem is, other than they've built it up too much in their minds. Because there's always a risk of doing a show based on a character you already know. Whereas when Mandalorian came out, it was different because you had a brand new character, you didn't know anything about him, no background, so you had to learn it as you went. Boba we only know a little bit about, but he's still such a giant character in terms of popularity. In the lore, that maybe some people just... See, people in Star Wars have come into two factions. Those of us who just enjoy everything because it's cool, and those of us who nitpick every freaking thing that comes out Star Wars. But I'm telling you this, people, you need to stop complaining, because nobody has treated Star Wars as awesome as Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. So if you scare them away, I will not forgive you. It will not happen. This man brought me back the love of my life, Luke Skywalker. So let's just cut them some slack, give them a chance to roll out their story. I thought this episode was very good. I felt the first one was a little, if people also were upset the first one was too short.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of, like every first episode. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, well, I'm kind of getting into it. Will I like it? I don't know.
Well, give it another try and see how it goes.
Yeah. I liked this episode a lot.
It's a little exposition-y, and that was fine. I mean, you kind of expect that with a character you haven't seen hide nor hair of for decades.
Yeah, you have to get some background of him. I mean, we also got the flashbacks of Mando's life as well. Mm-hmm. So that's a technique. They've kind of cut the story in half, where it's like present or past, but they slice it right down the middle.
Yeah, I mean, it's not super reaching from, the Mandalorian style at all.
No.
Like, it's very much like that. It's, it's very much Mandalorian Part 2 in that way, because it's really kind of following some of the same beats.
Yeah, well, it has to, yeah.
And that's fine, but it's also, like, it's interesting, and it's certainly, worth a watch, and if you kind of watch for the details and stuff like that, it kind of makes it a little more amusing.
Yeah, it's funny.
Because things are not accidental here, like the stuff
Never.
that happens is
Everything is done for a reason with Filoni. So and you've got a familiar planet, Tatooine, that you're on constantly, whereas we were introduced to a lot of new planets in The Mandalorian. So when you have something familiar, people have expectations, and then, as usual, you can never live up to their expectations, and then they just go all bashy. So it's just like, just shut your face. That's how I feel about it. Anyway, if you like our reaction, please subscribe, click like, leave a comment, and we'll see you next week for episode 3.